Well, hi. What an exciting day it is. The start of our project together. I think this will be very, very fun. I think I've got everything I need. I hope I have everything I need. Goodness. There are 7 of you here instantly. That never happens. I think we should do more of this. It's so lovely that everybody's so excited about this project. I'm so keen to see where you all take it. Very excited about this. Okay, so the first thing is, where is it? I discovered that my tube of Australian sienna is sadly very empty, and I normally work with at least one backup tube. However, I don't have that, so it brings me to work out what a good substitute would be. And I think this is a useful little starting point because some of you might not have the colours that I have. So Australian sienna is this colour here, and it's a lovely transparent. Hi Mundy, how you doing? Oh, there's 11 here. Hello Robin. Oh, everybody's here. I'm so excited. This is great. Okay, so I don't have that colour, and well, I don't have enough. I have a little tiny bit. So what I can do is mix some instead, and I'm going to have a look at the colours we're using today and suggest some substitutes for you. So I'm going to make my Australian sienna largely with Indian yellow. Have I got one open? Yeah, I have 2 open. Don't open a new tube, Dee, when you have 2 already open. Stop it. Put this one away. I have 2 with the tiniest little bit left in them. So I'm going to start with Indian yellow, and I'm just mixing a tiny bit first so that I know where I'm headed with it. I know I'm correct. So it's more yellow than the Australian sienna. I need to add, I think, some transparent red oxide to it. So I'm going to try that, see where I end up. The beautiful thing about the language of colour is the more that you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, so that was a great guess. A little bit more, I think. Okay, so, oh, hi Sue. Hi Pat. Sorry, I can only see a couple of names at a time here. I'm sorry for everyone I'm not acknowledging. Hi Jenny. Oh, it's so good to have everybody here. Margaret's here, hello, and Annette and Judy. All right, so there's the colour I was aiming at, Australian sienna, and there's the colour I've mixed with Indian yellow and transparent red oxide. Now they are the same. If they're slightly different, they're not, sorry, bit of a head spin there. They're not functionally different. So I'm going to go ahead and mix myself up. Enough of that for my colour rub. In fact, for my 2 colour rubs, because I have this one as well. So I went slightly bigger for my purple canvas. It's no huge difference. I think I didn't actually check the size of it. I think it's maybe, how big is it? Maybe 76 by 61. I'll measure it at some point and let you know. So I need to put out Indian yellow so I can mix the colour I want for the Australian sienna. This is why I like very much to have things just coming out of a tube. Where's my bin? Because I am lazy. I'd much rather open 1 tube than open 2 or 3. However it gets, you know, however many it takes to get me to the colour. The more you mix colours, the more fluent you will become in the language of colour. That's the beauty of it. Alright, that looks pretty right. That colour there looks pretty good to me. Alright, there's my pretend Australian sienna. That's going to annoy me that I won't have enough, so I'll just make a little bit more. Okay, Australian sienna. Now, Australian yellow green, if I didn't have that, I would start with transparent yellow or any lemony yellow. So the important thing is that they're transparent or semi-transparent. I'd start with transparent yellow or acrylamide yellow light or any other transparent cool yellow that I had. And I would add a little bit of permanent green light or an even tinier bit of sap green to it. Oh, come out of the tube. There we go. Did you know, here's a little bit of trivia, the lives of painters were changed by the invention of the metal paint tube. This is a plastic tube that I'm showing you. The metal paint tube, because all of a sudden paints were portable. So it used to be you couldn't paint out in the landscape because your paints weren't really that portable. They were in glass jars. Then the metal paint tube was invented and everything changed. Not that I paint plein air. There is march flies, there is mosquitoes, there is sand flies, there is wind, there is spectators, and there is generally no place to pee in comfort. I'm not a plein air painter. Phthalo turquoise, if you didn't have that, you might get some, how would you get it? You might, if you had phthalo green, you would put a little bit of transparent yellow in it. No, you wouldn't, that'd make it greener. To get phthalo turquoise, if you had phthalo green, you would put some blue in it. You would put some phthalo blue or some Prussian blue in it. All right. If you didn't have blue black, which is my next color I'm putting out, you would get some phthalo blue and put some burnt umber into it. Or Prussian blue, that would work too. Raw umber wouldn't work so well, just because it's a bit less transparent. It's a bit muddy looking. I mean, it is mud, it's earth. Rich gold, no substitute, sorry. All right, I have my colours out and I'm going to start my colour rub. That's a bit exciting. All right, so have my canvas here. I want to get colour everywhere first. Let me just check that everybody can see what I'm up to here. Yes. And then let the fun begin. Indeed. Let's go. All right, I've got my chucks cloths ready. So my chucks robust. They changed the name of them now. I forget what they're called, but it's something like extra strong or whatever. And they changed where they are on the supermarket shelf. I went to grab some more and I was like, oh no, they don't make them anymore. But they do. It was all right. Crisis averted. Am I going to be happy with all of that? I think so. Now, I generally start with gold. I do tend to start with my lighter colours because the dark colours can overwhelm everything else if you haven't got something light down first. Now I think I want to make something that has the idea of the flowers wrapped in paper. So I'm going to change that right from the start and put my canvas portrait rather than landscape. I think I'll want a little bit more room. Let's just come up so we can see it. Beautiful. And if this over here is my paper and that becomes the darkest center of the bouquet, I probably want my gold more out on the edges than anywhere else. So I think that's enough. Those splots there. Now often I'll use the same cloth moving on, but this time, because I have a second colour rub to do, I'm going to change my cloths, get a new one for every colour, because I don't want to start with mud on my purple. It's already going to be muddy enough. So I'm just being a little bit conscious of not cookie cuttering my marks. I'm being a little bit conscious of doing the edges. I've got a feeling that's enough. Something on a small canvas like this, I mean for me this is small, you don't want to overwhelm with too much paint, and it's easy to do because I'm used to painting so big. It's easy to do. So let's get some of this gorgeous bright green. Missed a bit of that edge. Maybe I just want to pull that right down to the bottom. It's always good to engage with your edges. This poor old cloth has some very big holes in it. It's alright, I can still use it. What do I want now? I think my phthalo turquoise. I do tend to leave the darkest colours till the very end. Always have your canvas sitting forward on your easel so that you can get to this very bottom bit. Okay, now I've got gaps there for the green black. I feel like that's a few too many gaps. And now the blue black. Goodness, I did put out a lot of that. Let's hope I use it. Okay, blue black into all the gaps. All right, now I've got very few little bits where the white paint is showing up, which is good. They're never my friend. I'm just going to move those stencils. All right, now a little bit of a water spray to make it slippery. And I'm just going to let that paint soften for a moment. Let me just see if there's any questions. Let the fun begin. I love that. Oh, good. It's a good time. Excellent. Beautiful. I'm so happy everybody's here. 24 people. Wow. Guys, you're impressing me with your enthusiasm for this. This is, sorry, didn't mean to make that loud noise. You're impressing me with your enthusiasm for learning the language of painting, for being the best artists that you can be, and being with me on this journey. It's absolutely bloody awesome. All right, so that's softened a little bit now. I'm thinking about the notion that my paper, my wrapping paper for the bouquet, is going to be here and angled out in. So that means that I want to just create the idea of some stems in here as I move the colours around. So I'm using just the very edge of my pebble there, and I'm letting them cross over I won't want all the paper, I just want an edge of it. Okay, so that's nice and stemmy in there. Here I just want to make that a bit smoother and sort out the divisions between the colours so that it gets some nice mixtures developing. And I want to do that up here too, because these harsh edges between the colours can be a bit distracting, especially by the time you've got stencils over the top. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Now, shadow stenciling. So what I have is this little wiggly stencil here, and I want to make it feel like paper. So I've not used this stencil before. Let's see what happens. What I want to do is support my canvas from the back, and I want to keep coming back to a clean part of the cloth, and I'm just sponging. I'm not wiping, I'm just lifting colour out. Don't you dare fall off the easel. No. Let's see. Oh, that's not really feeling papery at all. Okay, take two. Come back here. All right, let's come in here. Try it again. Let me wash my cloth. I want it to feel like it's got writing on it. So this time I'm going to try to wipe. Come on. Oh, that's much more what I had in mind. Okay, good. Okay, so remember all that nonsense I said about not wiping but dabbing? Ignore that. I was wrong. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. I'm happy with that. Is that going to be enough? I think I want just a little bit more over here. Yes! Okay, that's what I wanted there. So I've got the idea of paper here and the idea of stems there. Am I happy? I don't know. I think I want it a little bit drippier. So little close bursts from your water spray, just to pull it together a little bit. Sometimes you have to spray, let it soften for a moment, and then spray again. And do I want, on this canvas, I don't think I do. I think I'm going to do that on the purple one. I do not want that big solid bloop down there, so I'll spray it off to the side. Okay, I'm happy. Now, do I? Yes, I want to put that in the water. All right, so that colour rub's done. I'm going to lay it down flat just as soon as I make space to put it. So that all the runs stop happening. That's pretty cool. The only one I don't like that bit. See, right in the middle of my canvas I've got a vertical stroke going up with a blob on the end. See you later. See you later a bit more. That's better. Okay, so there's that colour up done. Are you happy? Are you thinking, yes, I can do that. I can watch the playback as many times as I need to make that happen. All right, let's do this one now. So I don't want to deviate too much from the idea of the wrapping paper on this, because I think if I deviate too much, it's going to get impossible for you to follow, and I don't want that. Let me just grab a drink. And make sure you can see. All right. So again, gold first. Look at that on the purple. Isn't that so nice? So this time I know I want to do shadow stenciling up here with the big flower stencil, and the metallics is what makes shadow stenciling work really, really well. So I'm getting in there. Okay, let's have some of our Australian sienna. Sorry, forgot to finish that sentence. I was a bit involved. Oh, I didn't put any gold down here where I want the paper, and that's probably a place I really want it on this on the purple canvas. Okay, phthalo turquoise. And blue black. I think I want a bit more green. Now, because I have this purple underneath, I want to make sure that it shows through a bit in places, so I'll probably be going harder with my pebble on this one. However, what I want to do first is I want to get some paint on the back of this. So I'm just gonna pick up some paint so that it's a bit dirty on the back, and now I want to get it wet. Whoops. And now I want to come in here, let them hang off the edge a little bit. And wipe some colour out of that. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it so much. All right, let's go again. Let's go down there. They'll be so beautiful for some background stuff. Okay, can we not go crazy, Dee? I don't know. Can we not go crazy? Can we manage, whoops, can we manage to not put it everywhere? All right, can somebody please take this stencil away from me? Let's have, do we want this paper here as well? Yeah, let's. I mean, we don't have to leave it there if we don't want it. Okay, that's enough of that. I have got paint all over me. So now, pebbling. I did this shadow stenciling first because I do want to be able to corrupt it. I don't want it too stencily. It's a background thing. So again, this whole notion here of the bouquet coming from here, from some paper. So again, some stems. Breaking up those solid patches of colour. Now you'll note, I'm sure, I'll put them both up together in a minute, but you'll note how subdued the colours are on this one compared to the one on a white canvas. And that can be an amazing thing, or it can be a fairly shitty thing. I think it'll be fine, but you know, this is an experiment. I want to play. All right, let's get a few runs happening. I think Dirty Purple was a good choice for behind sunflowers because purple and yellow are complementary contrasts, and so they're going to make each other. The Dirty Purple is going to make the yellow sunflowers sing. It's that yucky little bit. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. I think these flowers here are too definite, so I'm just going to corrupt them a little bit more. Just very lightly drag the pebble over to push them into the background. All right, that's looking pretty cool. Do I want some more purple coming through anywhere? I think I might. So I'm using now the side of the pebble a bit more to actually take off some colour. And the idea there is not so much stems but leaves, so a broader mark. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And we've got that one. Oh look, and they're both sitting there. Nobody's falling off. That's great. Okay, so you see the difference with having white underneath and having purple underneath. So one of the things that you can do if you're using purple underneath is you can spatter some white or some black on it somewhere to build up the idea of having some brighter spots on it somewhere. I don't even know which one of those I like the best. I think they both have great possibilities. This is certainly much, much softer, isn't it? Okay. Are you excited? Are you terrified? Do you know what to do? So make sure you have all your colours out first. Make sure you have your damp rags at the ready. So submerge them in water and then wring them out. They don't want to be saturated and they don't want to be almost dry. They want to just be in the middle. Have your spray bottle charged and ready. Have a flat place to put it when you decide there's enough runs and you need to lay it down flat to arrest that. Have everything ready before your paint gets on the canvas. Make sure your gesso is thoroughly dry. Give it 24 hours, because if your gesso has not cured, it will pick up with, when you start swiping cloths across it, the gesso will pick up and make all of your colours opaque, and you don't want that. I've seen that happen. Don't do that to yourself. All right, so the colour rubs, I don't know, I'm looking at this and I think maybe it's just in comparison to that one, it's looking a bit crass. I think I'm going to get in there again and just soften it a touch. So a bit more water to make it slippery. And get in there with my pebble and just re-expose. Just feels a bit crass. What's another word? What can I use? Crass seems like a terrible word to use. Obvious. Look at that. I'm coming down to the center. I don't want that. I want to come down off to the side. That's better. It just didn't have much light in it before. All right, I can leave it alone now, I promise. It doesn't matter that it sat for a little while I was doing that. It's still all very wet, and misting it again makes it slippery. So you can get in there and move stuff around. All right, people, I'm covered in paint. 2 canvases are covered in paint. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the world and all the fun while you make that happen on your canvases. Wow, I shouldn't have my colour wheel sitting here beside my easel. It's getting a bit of paint splattered on it. I need to put it back on the wall. All right, have fun. I will see you next week, except for those of you who are joining me on our very, very first Mastrius, which happens in an hour's time. So excited about that. All right, bye everybody. Well, hi team. Are we excited? Are we excited? I'm excited. I hope you are too. So it is part 2 of our sunflower project, and that's a bit exciting. So I hope you saw the post I just put up a wee while ago of how I have cut the Temu stencil so that that square edge wasn't going to get in our way. I have taken it in a little bit sometimes. Hang on. So sometimes, to avoid having a big square edge, I don't even know where that came from. Ah, there, that's where it came from. To avoid having a corner on your stencil, you have to come in a little bit too. So that's what I've done to get that ready. Pardon me. And I'm going to use this one as well today. So 1 negative stencil and 1 positive stencil today. And I don't think I'm going to want any others, because they're more for our central stuff that's going on. Okay. I have a big announcement about my stencils too, coming right up. So I'll put it up separately so everyone can see it, and I know this post will, like the live stream, disappears in 30 days. So I will put it up separately as well. But we have sorted it out. We have a new supplier. There is a website. The whole ordering process is going to be so simple and easy. I'm super excited about it. The first 5 stencils that we are getting up and running are the 5 from the painting, what's it called? Painting Australian Botanicals. That one, the workshop that's available on YouTube. If you haven't watched it yet, get on there. Yeah, so those 5 stencils will be available. Pardon me. All right, let's get into it. So we did our colour rubs last week, and I'm not best pleased with either of these. This little patch of blue here is a little bit isolated. There's some blues elsewhere, but this little guy here is just all by itself. Sorry little one. I'm going to sort that out. This one, I'm just finding it's too wild. I can't think. There's too much going on. So I'm going to sort both of those things out first. Now, for this one, what I have in a saucer, that's a new tube. I don't need to open the new tube just yet. I've got 3 of them open already. So a little bit of permanent brown matter and some quinacridone magenta. As always, the paint goes to one side and the glaze in the bottom. Now I'm thinking that brush is a little big for this saucer. It's going to get crap everywhere. Not crap, not literal poo, not that. We'll see. All right, I have some glaze, some magenta, and some permanent brown matter. I like the permanent brown matter because it just calms the magenta down a bit. And I have my pebble in my hand, and I'm thinking, all right, where do I least like this? Hang on, do I need to bring you all in for a closer look? Ugh. That was stuck. So is this one. Fun new game, how to get your canvases off the easel. Speak roughly to them. They can cope. All right, let's come in a little bit closer. All right, let's come in there. And I want to just see if I like that. Oh, and I really do. And I'm here with my pebble, but I don't know if I want to pebble them. I really like those rough marks. So I'm grouping them. I'm creating families of colour. And I can start my brush strokes either on the outside coming in or the other way, on the inside going out. But I am very much trying to work with this notion of building some stemmy sort of shapes there. So I've got a gap there. I don't want to go into the middle of the gap because it's just too much symmetry. Okay, that's pretty nice. I think down here too I want to, so here's where I'll probably pebble it. So get a chunk on and push it around for a softer adjustment of the colour. Oh yeah, that's better. And now I want to balance that with a little bit of softness over here too. And do I want any more? Maybe just a touch there. It's a little bit ugly up there. I cannot abide ugly paintings. I just cannot. Okay, I'm so much more pleased with that. And I think I want to be a bit careful of symmetry. So I don't want to do that side because I've done this side. So I might just go a little bit heavier here in a couple places. All right. Okay, I think that one is sorted. Now let's have a look at the other one. Remember, anytime you put your brushes down, put them in water. Don't just leave them to dry out and stiffen up and go hard. That's a horrible thing to do to your brushes, and you should never do it. All right, you come over here under the fan. And you come up here for some remediation. All right, let me just pull back a bit so you've got that whole canvas in your viewfinder. Even a little more. Okay, so the problem is that patch of blue. I think it's perhaps not the only problem, but I'm going to start, as usual, with the thing I can see most clearly, and in this case it's blue that's missing. I have some Prussian blue here, which I love because it's transparent. This is maybe more of a blue-black as it is up here, but Jenny pointed out to me that blue-black is now opaque. And so that means it's no longer great for glazing, which is super annoying. Chroma, not impressed. So, Prussian blue. I like Prussian because it has a similar kind of dirtiness to the blue-black. When I say dirtiness, I'm also talking about lesser saturation. So another way to say that is not quite as high chroma. Words. The words of the art world. I was telling a friend the other day about abject artwork. So abject, for everybody else in the world, in the English-speaking world, just means like kind of sad, you know, or dreary, something like that. But abject artwork is artwork that is made out of things that come out of the body. So think urine, blood, semen, breast milk. I don't quite know why there is a need in this world for abject art, but no, it's there. All right. Sorry if I've caused you to lose your breakfast, guys. Rude. All right, so let's do the same thing. Now, straight away, I put that blue on, and I'm not necessarily a fan. Why am I not a fan? What don't I like about it? I think it's a touch too blue. I'm going to pop a little bit of phthalo green into it. And just calm its farm. So often, you know, when you do the first stroke of something, there's two things can happen, and they're super confusing. So one of them is you look at it and go, yes, that's exactly the right thing. I'm going to do more. Then you've got to be a bit careful, because as you do more, you might do too much. Or you might look at it and think, oh, damn, I don't like that. And the trouble with that is sometimes you don't like it just because it's the only instance of that colour or that texture on the canvas, and the cure is to do some more of it. But in this case, I just found that ugly, so I've adjusted my colour and I'm perfectly happy with that now. I knew to go with green because there was already so much green on here, and the blue just didn't feel right. I am liking these rough marks today. Yeah, okay, we can do this. So this patch here, it's going to get some friends to bring it out, or to bring it in. What am I doing? I'm bringing it into the community of this painting. Yeah, much nicer. This corner's a bit ick as well, but I think again a soft. So in both cases I started with firmer, harder marks and then ended up with softer ones later. I don't think that is a rule, but maybe it's something I do all the time. Not quite sure. I like that. I think that's maybe just about enough. Just a little bit more there, just again because that was an ugly mark up there. Little bit down into there. So you'll find as you paint more, you sort of develop the ability to hold it in your mind and understand what you're going to get if you do a thing. So you think of it, you try it out in your mind, and if you like it, then you go ahead. But in the beginning, that's super hard to do. So don't beat yourself up if it's hard, just practice more. But also what you can do is learn a digital platform to play with. I think Jenny posted one last week that was free. There's Procreate, there's one called GIMP that's pretty complicated. I wouldn't start with GIMP. But yeah, there's options out there, and so what you can do is take a photograph of your painting where it currently sits and then put that into the editing program and play around with it. Change the color a bit. So if you think, I think I want the whole thing to be a bit pinker, you can change that, and if you like it digitally, then you can just do a pink glaze over the whole thing and boom, you've done it. So that little translation between a digital fix and a paint fix isn't always so easy. That's one of the things we're working with on Mastrius with my beautiful people there, is that crossover between trying things out digitally and getting them on your canvas. There's a special on at the moment. If you've been thinking of joining, you can join the group for 25% off for the first 2 months. I posted about it on my Instagram just now, just like half an hour ago. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, I like that. So let's leave that one alone now. Remember, brush in water and clean your pebble. This has got, I've just noticed, it's got so many scratches and scars on it from where I drag it across textured surfaces. The poor thing. It has a rough life with me. All right, so that's fixed. Let's put that one to dry and see if the other one's ready for us. All right, it is not quite. So I'll grab my heat gun, which is right here. It's right here where it always is. Why couldn't I see that? All right, excuse the noise. Remember, no closer. Sorry, I should talk into the microphone, not the phone. Remember, no closer than 30 centimeters or a foot with a heat gun. Even with a hairdryer, you do risk blistering and burning your paint. Now, I'm just going to focus on these top corners because that's where I want to work. Isn't that colour so nice, the pink on there? It's cheered it up enormously. All right. So now let's get into some negative work. How exciting. So this is the only negative stencil that I felt was appropriate that I could get from Temu. So what we want to do is remember that our bouquet is coming in here and it's wrapped in paper. So that means we would have like some filler blossom coming out behind our main flowers. So I'm going to come in right there. I do believe all my masking tape, oh no, I thought it was all upstairs where I have been painting walls. Which is not nearly as exciting as making paintings, painting on canvases, but I'm sad to report that I still love it. I still just like painting. Okay, so if I did that this way, that gives me a lot of action there, whereas I think I want to turn it over and have the sort of hanging action there. And I want it, I would say, about there. Now I left that little bit of edge on just so that I could handle it more easily. I don't necessarily always do that. Okay, so that one's going to go there. And then something I often do is I'll add a positive to kind of transition, because you'll see when I do this, this will have a hard edge here. It'll be solid toast grey. And I have to have a way to transition that, and sometimes the positive stencils will do that for me. Very often the positive stencils. So what I have here, toast grey, our old friend. So what you want is a half and half mix to start with of gesso and texture paste. And what that does, it gives you the whiteness you need from the gesso, because texture paste itself is translucent when it dries, and the ability to maintain its volume from the texture paste. So if you just do all gesso, it'll flatten out largely as it dries. It'll also probably be too runny to do a nice stencil for you. So a half and half mix, and then in this half and half mix I have put some toast grey, well, some mother of toast really. So Mother of Toast, it's called that because the artist Sebastian Toast taught me this colour. It is 3 parts French ultramarine and 1 part burnt sienna. You mix that together, that makes essentially a black, a soft black, and that's what you put in here until you get the grey you want. So I keep it mixed up all the time in my studio because I use it so much. It is a very valuable neutral colour, and it's kind of a soft lavender grey. It's not dead like a black and white grey can be. So that's my colour. Scoop some out. Someone asked the question too about structure paints or flow paints. If you're doing stencil work, structure is by far your best bet. There it is. Yeah, the flow paints just make everything too runny, so you don't want that. Alright, so I have a pile of that paint, a pile of that mix down here on my palette. All right, here we go. And I have my stencil stuck up there. Now, how close do you need to be, guys? I think closer is better. because there's some nuance with stenciling that's important. Now, I've picked up some texture paste. It's not on this side of the knife. This is the top of the blade. It's on the bottom of the blade. And I'm going to just hold my stencil still and come in here and do that. Now, generally speaking, I want to do as few passes as I can, because the more I muck around in here, the less I'm going to get a nice clean mark from the stencil. So I'm reloading often. I'm making sure that my blade is full. I'm just going a little bit past the edge of that stencil. I'm not worried about these marks in here that are left behind. They absolutely do not matter. Now I'm at the edge of the stencil there. I do think I want this little bit in here, but I don't want to include that square edge that's still there. Oh, that's very nice. Now, do I want to go again down there? Don't think so. Do I want to spin it around? Not turn it over, but spin it around. Oh yeah, I think I can go there. So I might go more there. So your first pass of texture paste will tend to hold it in place for you. Or if you're new to this, do it on the table. I've learned to do it up on the easel because I so often need to show people what I'm doing. And it's just easier all around for that. But yeah, it took a bit. It took a hot minute to get good at it. Okay, oh, I missed a bit at the top there. All right, now that stencil is now way too painty and messy to use again. It needs to be washed. All right, that's pretty cool. So to wash it, come over here with me. Come to my table. And what I need is a clean palette and some space. Always at a premium in Studio de Gillett. I'm going to pop that down and I'm going to very gently scrape across the top to get that burden of texture paste back, because paint's expensive. I don't want to waste it. And that gets most of it off the stencil, which then I put into water. So that's just water in here. It goes underwater. And then I retrieve this. That goes back into my pile. I wipe that off and I'll just let that soak for a little bit, because it's easier to clean once it's just soaked for a minute or two. If you use warm water and a little tiny bit of detergent in there, it comes off really easily as well. All right, so that's a very nice start, I think. Now, can I get some of this in? I think that way. I don't know that there's room here. I don't want all of that stem. I think I just want this bit here. And maybe it's actually a bit big in there, so I might just put it over this side. I'm working on the idea of embracing my hero flowers, my focus. So I think I'm just going to come in there So I think there works. I'm also going to do some up here, but if I go there first, I'll have goop on the back of my stencil and it'll muck me up down here. So I'll do this one first. I'm a little concerned that that's too straight, so I'll just knock it down a touch more. Yeah, that's better. Is it? Because now that's too straight. I'm so fussy about stencil placement. All right, so let's, I think I want to go from there. So nice smooth marks. You're using the side of your blade. You're not doing this kind of nonsense. Nice and smooth. Let's get that in there. Oh yeah, that's pretty. And now I can come here. Can I? Do I want it? Where do I want it? I think I want it. I'm trying to look through the stencil. It's not working very well. So the stencil's over top of that wet stuff. I'm not going very far into that at all. Okay, all right, I think that one's sorted for the moment. How are we feeling about that, guys? Is it, sorry, I vowed to not say guys anymore. Folks, people, humans, Patreons, all the gender non-specific ones. Okay, I'm just cleaning off this stencil so it can also go in the water. And it's a rare moment that I only had one stencil in the water. So I was just able to kind of shake it like this, like on the bottom of my dish, and that's cleaned it very well. You never want to drag a cloth across them. They don't like it, they rip. Usually I use a fan brush to just under the water to get the paint off. But now I need to dry it so I can work it. And everything's everywhere. You'd think I was sort of in the middle of renovations and moving house. Okay, so to dry them, I do this on a table normally. So you just put it on a towel and then pat it. I feel like I should be rubbing my head and patting my tummy at the same time. All right, so that's dry and ready to roll again. Again, don't ever wipe them, just pat them. So, do I want more? I don't think I do. I don't think I want any more of that particular stencil. I mean, I'll reserve the right to put it in more at the end if I want to. Okay, so let's pop that one out of the way. I hope everybody's coping and hasn't got too many questions, because I can't actually see your questions today, which is always so annoying. All right, still a bit wet. So what do I want to do here? I want to just make sure that other stencil's properly underwater. That's what I want to do. And it wasn't. And now it is. Okay, so same kind of thing. I think I'll just keep using the same colour. Excuse me, microphone cord, get out of my shoe. Thank you. All right, hang on. What are you all looking at? Let's come back in here. All right, so this is the negative stencil that we've got. Now we've got a lot of shadow flowers up here that I don't want to destroy, but I think I want to come in sort of between in the gaps. So I want to go there, but I think I might, because I'm ending up with more space over this side, I used the stencil this way. I'm going to flip it for this one so that I can get a great deal of stuff happening down there. So that one. So I rarely tape them, but you can if you want to. If it makes it feel easier for you, stick a bit of masking tape on there. There's no rule that says you can't use every kind of everything that helps you make a new painting, a good painting. Now I accidentally pushed that little bit of stencil up, which will mean I'll have a bit of a mucky print just there. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Stencils should not be perfectly imprinted on your canvas. Let them breathe a little bit. Okay, so then let's come in here. And do you notice how I'm working out? Because if I was to try and come in this way, it wouldn't work. I'd muck up my stencil. So leaving it a bit scrappy as I come down there. I haven't included all of the stencil because I want it to be just a bit looser. And here too, I want to bring this right down there. And again, looser, leaving it with more gaps in it. So one big group, one little group. Do I want a tiny bit over there? I think I might. I really want it that way. So I might just cheat a bit and just do a partial. Nice. And now, because I've done that partial there, I'm straight away thinking I want a bit of a partial here as well. All right. And that is going to dry because we are well out of time. Okay. I hope you went well, everybody. I hope you're ready to watch it a few more times and get in there and do it on your canvases. And we'll get into it again next week. Thanks for being here, beautiful people. I'll see you next week, and I'll post about the exciting new stencil news in the meantime. Stencils, so excited to have them. But that's not our focus today. Our focus is this one here. How are you all doing with your step-by-step follow along? I hope you're enjoying it. I hope it's so much fun. All right, now let's see what's going on the other side of the camera. Who's here? Oh, hello Sue, hello Linda, hello Marie, and Irene's here, and Wendy, good morning. Lisbeth is here and Christine is here. Good morning, all you beautiful people. Oh, and Lynn Fairley's here too, and Evelyn. Good morning, and Jenny. It is so nice to be spending my Tuesday morning in studio with you beautiful, talented people. All right, let's get on to this. So, we have to think about what comes next, and I'm glad there's been a bit of a pause through the week for me to think about it. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is this little sample here. So this is just stenciling, but what I did was put down the stencil on a tan ground, and then I used black texture paste, and then while the stencil was still in place, I swiped some brightly coloured paint, just paint, over the top. And do you see how as it's dried, the paint has shrunk? Oh, hi Jackie. The black has shrunk. No, sorry, the paint on top has shrunk more, and that's exposed that lovely black edge around the edges of things. So it's not a terribly easy technique, but I think it's worth pursuing because you get this lovely edge around everything, and I really enjoy that. So this is the stencil we've used thus far, this negative stencil, and we've used this one in the shadow stenciling. Now I have a bunch of other positives. Oh, and we use this one for shadow stenciling too. So it might be that I want to try and locate some things right now, because I still like the idea of the paper wrapping up the flowers, but I think I want to try and define a bit of a shape for that. So that's going to be my first little trick there. We have this, which is, do you see how I'm kind of embracing the area where the main bouquet is going to be? This is a really nice way to do that. That one and this little one here too. I think that can work very nicely to embrace for us. So I'll think about the paper and I'll think about the embrace. So do you see how I haven't even got to our heroes yet? And we probably won't this week because there'll be stuff going on. But this, which one's my biggest one? That's my biggest sunflower. It's going to have to be down in the front here, and then I'm going to push back with these ones. So maybe somewhere there, and then maybe I'll flip that and come in there as well. I don't really know yet. And do you know why that is? Because you can only know one thing at a time. So frustrating for you, I know. I hear you, but you can only know one thing at a time. And that is it. That's the rule. That's my rule. And you know what? You're stuck here in my studio with me for the next half an hour. So, soz babes, but this is how it is. All right, so let's get those all out of the way. Let's keep these over here because that's what I'm thinking of doing. Let's keep this here to remind me to show you some of that action. And I discovered when I was setting up this morning that I do not have any half and half mixed up, and that's very uncommon. So I thought I would, I mean, it seems so basic, but I found out when I had a helper in a workshop who I asked to mix up some half and half for me, and they didn't mix it up enough. And so because of that, the texture paste is thicker than the gesso, and so it had sort of inconsistencies in the texture. It just didn't stencil very nicely for me. So we're going to just do this. We're going to deal with this very basic thing just to make sure I'm not keeping secrets from anybody. Okay, let me adjust my camera so you can see what I'm actually up to. Oh, Romana's here as well. Good morning, Romana. And Mundy. Oh, it's so nice that everybody's here. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. All right, don't do that, Dee. Come down here instead. There we go. That'll show everybody what I'm doing. All right, so what we want is essentially half and half. Now, when I'm mixing up a whole tub of it, I actually weigh it to make sure I get half and half. But because gesso is lighter than texture paste, I do 130 grams of gesso and a litre of texture paste. So I've got 2 huge big scoops there of texture paste, and I'm going to roughly make that equivalent. Now I can't pick up quite as much on my spoon here as I can with the texture paste, so it's 3 spoons instead of 2. And if you don't want to have a great big bucket of stuff mixed up, you can just mix it every time you need to use it. It's okay too. Now, if I just mix this just a little bit, now you might think that that's enough mixing, but if I drag my knife across the top, hang on, I'll come in so we can all see that. Do you see how it's kind of chunky? How there's like some inconsistencies in there. It's lumpy, essentially. And I need to mix it more so that all those lumps go away. And because it's white mixing into white, there's no colour cures. Colour cues. That's what I meant to say. There are no colour cues. All right, so now when I drag my knife across the top, it's nice and smooth. And that tells me that that's mixed well enough and it won't give me inconsistencies in my stencil work. All right, let's get back over here. So, I'm still thinking about embracing. And I'm hoping I have, oh yes, I have some masking tape here. It's all been doing duty upstairs in the renovations, but I still have one. So, got this. Now this is a bigger bud than this one. So it will make more sense to have the bigger bud down closer to us and the smaller buds away in the distance. So we tend very much to follow the what happens with photography. What's the word I want? The conventions. That's what it is, the conventions of photography. So do I want that there? Do I want to check it out? I think I like it that way better. So I'm going to come in there again with this notion of everything coming, the stems all coming towards my bouquet. Now this stencil here is way too fine to show you this technique. It's the areas of colour are too small in that one. I may be able to do it with that one. I don't know, it might have to wait. So do I want them coloured, or do I want to put them on in white and then add the colour with glazing on top? I think I just want to do these in white for the moment, because I don't really know yet what colour they're going to be. So see this? This is a problem. If you were to drag your knife this way, you would probably catch under there and end up with an awful mess. So for this stencil, I'm going to make sure that I come in from the top. I tend always to consider that. If it was one of my stencils, I would have connected a couple of those bits so that they weren't all flappy like that. Assuming I noticed it before I tried to use it. So remember, you want as few passes as you can manage. And you start with your knife sideways, and then as you come down, you twist your knife down so that you're pushing texture paste through. And these marks really don't matter. Where you've got the marks of the knife left behind, they really don't matter. Now that's where it's squished under the stencil a bit, and I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, I like that. I think I want to change my angle and come in about there. So my stencil is flattening out some of that stuff I did just now because it's still very wet. Not a problem, doesn't matter. It does matter that now I have goop on the back of the stencil, and if I tried to put that in again somewhere, that would print, which wouldn't matter. I'd be able to fix it. And in fact, I might do it so that you get to see how I fix it. So do I want to come in there? Oh, you may have noticed too, I filled in the gap here between the two stencils with the grey. Now I don't think I want it down there because that wouldn't make sense for my bouquet, that it's too far down. Do I want it there, or is it a bit symmetrical? Do I want, that's a bit symmetrical too. I don't think I do. I don't think I want any more of that because I don't really have a place to put it. Alright, so let me just get this one scraped off and underwater. Remember, never ever let texture paste dry on your stencils. Because you can probably say goodbye to that stencil if you do that. You can soak it and it will soften and lift, but then you've still got to be a bit rough on the stencil to actually get it off. All right, that one's underwater. Now let's come in with this wee one. So I don't want to come into there. I do want to just stretch those marks out a little bit because they're too chunky. Oh, and I wanted to show you how to fix that. Okay, let's come in real close. Is that close enough? Can I get closer? No, too much of an angle. What's Monday asking me? Can I ask what texture paste I use, yes, I use chrome acryl. So I use this one here, chrome acryl texture paste. It's a student grade one. I like it because it's a bit wetter than the Atelier professional grade one. I find the professional grade ones they're just too thick, and I have to thin them down to get them through the stencil easily anyway, so it's easier to just use the student grade one. So what I have here is a silicone tool, and silicone tools are absolutely wonderful for getting paint off. So I can come in here and lift that paint. This is one of a cheapy set from Montmartre called Paint and Sculpt, and you get, I think, 5 different ones for about $15 in the set. And I've had mine for a very long time. They last very well. Okay, so that little stain of white that's left behind, that doesn't matter. All right, let's go back out so I can get in there. One word about, is it texture paste or gesso? It's texture paste. So some of the brands, you need to read a label. If you're not going to use chrome acryl texture paste, you need to make sure you check your labels, because some of the things called texture paste will dry clear and shiny, and that's not what I want. So the Chroma, in Chroma brand, Chroma Acryl, there is texture paste, which is a little bit grainy and which is translucent white when it dries, and there is impasto gel medium, which dries clear and shiny. The other one, texture paste, sorry, I forgot to say, it dries matte. And I prefer that because I can put more colours on the top. If you use one that dries shiny, it's going to very much repel other colours that you put on top. So read the label. You want one that maintains its volume as it dries, and you want one that dries matte. And I mean, it doesn't much matter. If the one I used was clear, it wouldn't matter so long as it still dried matte, because I introduce the whiteness with the gesso. It's texture paste as it comes out of the tub isn't white enough for me. It just dries kind of mucky. Yeah, so read your labels, because across brands they use those two terms, texture paste, texture medium. They also use impasto gel medium or structure gel. They can mean different things. What you want is something that dries matte and maintains its volume as it dries. Doesn't really, all the other things you can adjust. All right, so that's there. And these are going to come in here somewhere. So, oh, I quite like that little pop there. But if I do it, I'm going to get goop all over the back, so I won't do that one just yet. I might come up here and bridge a little bit in here. So I'm always fighting against symmetry. I'm always making sure my stems are coming in, and I'm making sure, like, I wouldn't put that up there because it would be the same height as that one, and I don't want it. I don't want things lining up across my canvas. So again, I'll just come in here and just soften those little boops at the bottom. Now, I don't want to stick too much in here because I do want to use my full canvas. I think I might come out in there, right over the top. So, lots of people struggle with stenciling over texture that's already there, and it is harder because you really only get one go in each little area. And you need to be very generous with your product as well, because you can't press down very hard, because what happens is the texture paste just bleeds through. Okay, that's pretty nice. And now I think I want here, I think I want 2 of those. So I'm going to come there. This is a well-drawn stencil. It doesn't have little catchy bits. And then, because we're using stencils, if you just use the one stencil by itself, like I have here, and even this is pretty cookie cuttery, I've got the same space between and the same space between, so I'm going to manipulate that by turning this one, adding another one beside it and a little bit on top of it, changing the angle of the stencil. Just get off that little bit where I've overshot. Where you do that, get it off real fast, because it will re-wet the paint underneath, and when you wipe it off, you're likely to come right back to bare canvas with it. All right, let's just sort those out. Okay. So that's the next layer sorted out. And I'll just go and get this little stencil underwater. Okay, so I'm pretty pleased with that thus far. Do I have any more questions to answer? Oh, what's Evelyn asking me? Montmartre modelling paste. What do I think of that? It's one of the ones that dries much more shiny than I like it to be. I've quite often students have brought Montmartre along to workshops. I'm not a fan. It's too shiny, and I've also found it cracks quite badly too as it dries. So yeah, sorry, not that one. All right, I'm really happy with where that is. Let's have a look at the other one. Now this, of course, is a smaller canvas. Can I come in? Can I come in? Can I come closer? Well, that loosened it. That didn't tighten it, did? Okay, so I already have used that particular stencil here and here for some positives. I don't know that I have much more space to do surrounding, embracing things on this one. So let's throw caution to the wind, and let's have a look at all these other stencils and see if we feel ready for any of these guys. So that's just the single daisy. Not a massive fan of that one. That's the biggest one, I think. Yeah. I would probably do it facing in to the painting. Oh, no, I'd probably actually do it facing out. So always remember, just because the stems on these are going a certain way, you don't have to use them. You can just not do that part and just use the flower itself. if you're new to this, you might want to bog that up with masking tape. So you might just want to stick tape across it so that you don't accidentally get it in there. Now, I think I like that scale on this canvas. I think that one feels a bit large. All right, so that tells a whole different story. Makes it about a bouquet of daisies. I quite like the change of scale that brings in, but I kind of like the witchiness of these flowers. Do I want to do that and that? I don't know. Do I? I don't know. I will sometimes spend a truly stupid amount of time repositioning stencils. Also, I'm not using these crappy little butterflies. I don't like them. If I was to go in there, and I've got that one as well. So this is a smaller flower. It has to go back in the distance. And this one isn't really a sunflower at all. I like it, but it doesn't feel like a yellow flower to me. And these ones do. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up using that one. Honestly, that's the one I'm happiest with there. So that one there, I don't really want it, I don't want it smack up the middle. And if I drop it a little bit, so if I do it right up there, I'll have no room to put any of those in back there. So I'm dropping it because then I can come in behind with that one. All right, that's a good decision. Okay, let's get that on there. So I'm just going to show you what I mean about covering up these shitty little things. I actually don't mind the dragonfly, and I quite like the bee, except its scale is so wrong. That is a massive bee. So cover them up. I'll cover the dragonfly too, although I reserve the option to put one in somewhere else. So, all right, that's there. I think I'll cover these stems as well because they are pointing over there, and I need it. If I was using them, I would want them to point in the other way. All right, so if that's going to go there, that's going to come up there. That'll be very nice. Obviously I can't do them at the same time. If that's there, I might find a way to do one somewhere else as well, but I don't have to make that decision yet, because one step at a time, always. So if ow, that's really sharp. I want these flowers to end up yellow, but I want them to end up a few different shades of yellow. So do I want to do the texture paste with yellow? What about, here's a thought, what about if I do them in yellow, but then I'll do this technique on the top with a different color, so they'll end up outlined in yellow. Let's do that. So just going to get some of my white texture paste here. Hang on, let's come back to this view. So I've got a little puddle of texture paste here. Will that be enough? Probably, because I need to put a fair chunk of yellow into it to make it yellow. Yellow is one of those colours that is fugitive, so it disappears really quickly. Make sure it's really well mixed in. Now, that's not feeling quite right to me. Neither is this texture paste I've just put everywhere. I think I want to warm that yellow up a bit, so I'm going to squeeze a bit of Indian yellow in there as well. More than that, more than an empty tube can give me. There we go, it wasn't empty at all. Throw it in the bin, Dee. Stop putting it back. That's looking much better. Now, is it bold enough? Does it have enough colour in it? I think so. Matt, do I want just a little bit more? Do I? I don't know. I think I do. I keep thinking it looks a bit pale. Okay, there's my pile of yellow. Let's come back up here. All right, so a nice full blade. Now I want this big. I want to not scrape down to the level of the stencil, but I do also want to make sure it goes through the stencil. So sometimes if you're trying to build up a lot of texture paste on top, you're maybe going to miss parts of the stencil underneath. So I'm putting so much goop on there to the point where I can barely see the stencil underneath. Now, we have a member who struggles with their hearing and is asking me about transcripts, and if anybody knows about that within Facebook or has any experience with adding transcripts to things, if you could point me in the direction of the appropriate resources, that would be a grand thing. Okay, so that's all covered in yellow. It's really thick. And now what I'm going to do is clean my blade and get out a tube of titanium white. So get out my titanium white. Is that what I want? Do I want white? Oh, I'm unsure now. Yes, Sue, that would be you. Yes, that would be you. Yes, I'm trying to research it and find out how I can support your hearing. Haven't had a lot of time to give it yet, but I will. All right, now, all right, so yes, I think I do want it white because that just leaves all the options open for me. So that's just straight out of the tube, nothing added. And what I'm going to do, I can't remember where the flowers are or what they look like. So I'm going to just drag unevenly, very, very light pressure. Oh, there's the middle of a flower that I can see, so that's useful. Was there 2 flowers or 3? Did anybody pay attention? I know there's leaves down here. Okay, so with that just sitting on the surface like that, ooh, oh, so pretty. All right. Very good. Oh my goodness, we're 10 minutes over. I'm sorry, I'm soaking up your whole day here, people. 2 flowers, thank you, Robin. All right, that has got too much goo on it to do much else, and the other one does too. So that's it for today. I will see you next week, beautiful people. Have a great week. Well, good morning. How is everybody? I hope that the recent current heat wave isn't knocking everyone around too much. It's horrendous. We're fine in Brisbane. It's great today. It was very hot yesterday, but not like the 40 odd degrees that other parts of Australia are getting. I feel for you. I hope the electricity grid stays on, and I hope you have some cool places to get away. Stay safe, hydrate, all the things. Do the things. All right, we are going to do some more of this today. So I have spent the last 20 minutes, I guess, just fooling around in here trying to find the shape of my paper. So it took me a bit, and there's some choices I made, and then I made different choices. I used a little bit of orange pastel to do it because black charcoal would have been really hard to see on this darker shape. Darker ground. Sorry guys, it's early. I was up late. So yeah, I've just drawn some lines to show me where I think it is, and what I want to do now is come in with my Payne's grey, toast grey, and just basically do some negative painting to show everybody where it is. All right, let's have a look. All right. Hey, Nikki Bester. Happy New Year, my love. I miss you too. All right. Does everybody know to always wipe clean the top of their container when they put the lid back on? Because you really don't ever want to be in that place where you've managed to glue your lid on with paint, and then exactly what you want is in the tub and you can't get to it. That's never fun. So I'm just using the same mix as I had before. This is why I mix up a bunch of it to start with, so that I have what I need to bring in some nice seamless edges. So a flat, so I have 2 brushes that I think I'm going to need. One is a flat. So flat means 2 things. It means it has a flat haircut, so it's flat across the top, and it also has this flattened ferrule. So this is the ferrule, F-E-R-R-U-L-E, not F-E-R-A-L. So a flat ferrule and a flat haircut. This one is also a long, so it has long bristles. Hey Irene, how you doing, beautiful? Hello Lynn. This one, this is a dagger brush. So you can see it also has that flat ferrule, but it comes to a point. And I've got that one because I'll be needing to get into some of the pointy bits. So I've decided that my paper has multiple points, and I don't know that this brush is going to be firm enough to do this with. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, multiple points because I wanted it to feel, you know, how when you put paper around a bouquet, the points of the square paper stick up. That. So I'm just coming in there. I should probably take this opportunity to do the edges, but I don't want to bore you with that. Okay, so there's my first little corner. Then I've got it coming down here, and I think I'm going to need my smaller brush to get in there. Yes. Alright, let's get around there, nice and close. Okay, so that's the top part. Let's come down here. I wanted this little corner to just come off as well, to really enhance the idea that it is a bouquet. Now over this side I've got a point sticking up there, so I want to come in there. If you're feeling nervous about your ability to put paint where you want it and to get some nice sharp edges, you can mask it up. So you can put masking paper on the inside of these shapes that you are wanting to preserve. I've been doing so much house renovation painting. I'm a bit tired of masking tape at the moment. I really can't be asked to mask this. So I've got a complex edge here, down here where it comes to these flowers. So I'm just going to come in close to them, but leave a sort of wobbly, florally looking edge around it as well, and even integrate it. So come right in, it's the same grey, so I can come right in and connect with some of those flowers. I want it to not grab our attention. So just a nice little join there. Same thing here. So same, a little wiggly edge that integrates and has the same kind of scale as the edge that's there already. Now this paint that I'm using, this is actually texture paste. It's my half and half mix, and it's a little bit harder to paint with. Sometimes you need a stiffer brush, so more of a bristle brush. This is a Taklon fibre brush, so it's soft, and it is a bit of a pain. but you know, near enough. Alright, so that's delineated where my paper is. Am I happy with that? I think I am. I think that runs through quite nicely. Do I need to just fill there? Because it kind of doesn't really make sense. But also I don't want to be too bossy about it. Yeah, I think I need to fill it. So I'm always trying to let the painting speak. But also, I'm the boss of it. And it can jolly well do what it's told. Alright, back to the small brush. Now, some of you might be concerned because my sunflowers have yellow leaves. This is not anything to be concerned about. I will be manipulating the colour of those leaves with some glazes on top, and it is so much easier to just do all the underneaths with a colour that will work. So because yellow is very much a part of green, it was fine to just do it yellow. Sometimes I do the whole thing just white and then glaze all the colour on top. All right, I'm happy with that. Just sort that edge out a little bit and put the rest of my paint back in my tub because I don't want it to sit there and dry out. I have very little left of this precise shade of grey, and I'm going to need it to finish this painting and the other one I started with you. I should have mixed up more to start with, but you know, I was excited. This is what I mean about a soft brush. So see how the thickness of the paint is able to like make the brush sit all weird? That's not terribly helpful. So yeah, a stiffer brush would have been better. And I saw a question here. Oh, Nikki's off. See you, Nikki. All right. Jenny asks, is there a reason why I'm using the toast grey rather than white? Yes, because I want it to mesh seamlessly. This grey is background and this is also background. So yes, very important reason. If I will bring some white in down here to bring that forward, but I'll keep it kind of on the paper rather than into the background. All right, so that's a bit more integrated. I'm thinking might take another coat once that's dry. I'm thinking that, but I'm also thinking I want a big hero flower right here. Now to do that, I'm going to be texture pasting, just stenciling over top of an already textured area, and that's a bit tricky. So the first thing I'll do is just come in and very carefully feel for all the little pointy bits, and I'll break them off. If you don't have cast iron thumbnails like I do, you can use nail clippers, work really well to take these little points off. So just to work in there where I think the stencil might sit, and just take off those little high points, because the higher those are, the more they're going to hold the stencil up, the more the texture paste will have an opportunity to creep in underneath and not give us what we want. All right, so where is my tape? I have a new rule. My blue tape is allowed to go upstairs for the renovations. My green tape has to stay down here in the studio so that I always have some. I always have multiple thicknesses too, multiple widths of tape. I generally have a skinnier one as well, just because it's useful. So here, I want this flower about there. I could do it there, so I could have it facing into the painting. I think I like it better facing out, but I don't like the stem. And so what I'm going to do, is protect some stuff. So here where my paper sits in front, I'm taping that to make sure that I don't go over it. Here I'm considering that in front as well. So that gives me a line that I know I'm not putting any more texture paste below that. And I'm going to be super picky about where this goes and how much, like what angle it is, where I want it to sit. Now there's a problem. That bit just there, I actually want that petal to sit down. Did I take enough out? Just about. So see, I'm just making a little hole here in my protective taping so that that petal can sit in front of the paper. I don't want it to be all jammed down inside. That would look weird. So if that's there and I'm only going to there and I'm not doing that leaf, I think that'll work nicely. All right, so that'll work there. And am I not doing that leaf? I think I will do that leaf. I think that'll be fine. And there's a little bit of tape just there too that's in my way. Not anymore. And I'm going to do that just with white. Plain white, half and half. Half gesso, half texture paste. I'm still undecided about that leaf, but I don't think I like it. And I'm concerned that I'll do it accidentally. So I'm just going to cover it up to stop myself. So I've got that little leaf and I'm right there and I'm not going to get any of that. Okay, so lots of prep. Now that's a knife. I'm working over a textured surface. I can feel that it's not sitting up massively anywhere. It's a little bit, but there's no single point that I think, oh, I need to get in there and rip that point off. So let's, really full knife, big knife. I really want to do this as much as I can with only one pass in every area. I'm not pressing terribly hard and I'm being quite generous with how much texture paste I'm getting on there. Oh, totally missed that petal. Smaller knife. In there and in there. Now all of these loose bits on here don't matter. Better to leave them alone rather than try and perfect them now, because every time I touch that I'm pushing texture paste through. And hopefully I got a nice clear print. And I did. Excellent. I just want some white on that paper. Do I want a knife stroke or do... So what I'm trying to do is get the feel that that paper's kind of bent. And I know I can see in my mind the mark that I want. And it's a big mark. So I need a big brush. This one's a good one to use for this because it's old and it's been in the classroom for years. And so it hasn't been washed very well, so it's quite stiff. And that's good. That's good for this particular thing that I want to do. So load it right up. Now I think what I want to do is start there and come in and go. It's not coming down far enough. Now it's too far. Ugh. So just the feeling of that paper being a bit shiny and having a crease in it and coming forward like that. And I think I might want one on this side too, but I don't want to be symmetrical, so I might come in there. Symmetry is never your friend, not in painting. That's the kind of end I wanted on that mark. All right, can I get one over here? Let's try. Yeah, better. Okay, so I think that's working nicely. I don't think I want another one up there, but I do want something white up there. And I think, oh yes, I think this might be the one that I want. Anyone else go straight to grease? Anyone else? Ooh, 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 honey. No, just me. Okay. Miranda Hart, in her television series called Miranda, breaks into song at all kinds of inopportune times. And I've mainly learned to keep it on the inside, but it's still very much a thing that I do as well. Okay, so I'm being careful. I don't want it at exactly the same height as that. So I'll make sure I come up a little bit higher. It's going straight over the grey, which is still wet. And I think I can get away with it. If it pulls some of the grey off, that'll be okay, because I still have some grey to patch things up with. Ooh, that's nice. So if that's there, I need to bring some of that energy up further. I don't want it level with that, so I don't want to do it in there. Do I want it right up at the top there? I think I do. And I think it can come off the top. Oh, so pretty. So I like now it's got this lovely sort of curved C curve in there, like C as in the letter C. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think it's sitting together nicely. It's got that lovely curve. I've started to think about the paper. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it feeling a bit more papery, if indeed it does need to feel a bit more papery. I think probably not. I think it's going to be fine the way it is. I might add a bit more edge to it when it's dry. I will probably repaint that grey, not only because I've taken some off with my impatient stenciling. So yeah, now is a good time to pause and go through our 4 things: our line, tone, colour and edge. So by adding that big lightest flower there, I've established that this is the hero here. So happy with that composition, happy with this sort of diagonal C curve that's coming through there. I really like the rhythm of that. So line, we're good. We don't even have to think about drawing because most of it is stencils and the drawing is already done. Drawing for my paper, I did go slow and sort that out. So line, tick, line is good. Tone, we have a whole lot of lights and we have a whole lot of darks. We don't have a great deal of mid-tones. And that's because it's, I saw a big point up there, there it is. That's because it's waiting for glazing. I'm not going to go in and glaze it today because so much is still wet. It all needs to be dry before you glaze. If you don't yet have any glaze medium, this is the one I like, Jo Sonja Clear Glaze Medium. Fantastic stuff. I have been using it for as long as I've been painting. More than 20 years. So tone, we know we have a broad spectrum from the lightest light to, we don't really have any darkest darks yet, but that's all right, we can get them in later. So we're just kind of pinning that idea that we will probably need some more darks at some point. Colour. The colour is very simple at this point. So there'll be a lot more nuancing again that will be developed in the glaze time. So see how as I'm working through, I'm finding things that the glaze will sort out. And this is really reinforcing the idea that the glaze, I need to start glazing. Glazing doesn't have to be the last step. I used to think it did, but I was always concerned about archival reliability. So some of the glazes I've used before will get wet again if you work on top, and that it makes paint slide around, it makes things fall off your canvas. So I only ever use the Jo Sonja one now because I know I can rely on it. So there's a lot of issues here that glazing will sort out. And edge is always a thing that is addressed by the use of glazing as well. So this has to just sit and dry because glazing is going to be next and it needs to be properly dry for that. So I've been looking at it and it's got this kind of diagonal going up here, so sort of the busy part of the painting and the quiet part of the painting, and this little corner seems to be a bit lacking to me. So I thought I just want that leaf coming down into here as well. And so I had a look at putting the stencil there and I thought this is so cool because, so what that is the leaf on this side, and I don't think I want to mirror it. I mean, I could, but symmetry is such a problem. Symmetry is never your friend. So I think what I'll do is I'll do that bit there. So I'm just going to do these couple of leaves and that little stem going down there. I'm going to make sure that stem can disappear in there into the paper. So because the position of this is super important, I'm going to tape it. Yeah, that's going to work really nicely. A little bit more tape for reinforcement. Just because I don't want it to move. I don't think I've showed you sludge pot in this particular project. You're about to see it. So it's exciting. So this is my green sludge pot. Hang on. Let me make sure I'm actually showing it to you. Oh, good morning, Sue. How you doing, beautiful? So you can see a whole lot of yellows and greens in there, and I'm going to use that. So I'm going to carefully scoop out of here, and I want to mix it as little as possible. So I'm trying to get some nice interesting colours, and then I'm putting them beside each other on the palette, and I'm making sure, see how I'm knocking it down just with one movement. So I'm trying to disturb the structure. I'm trying to disturb it as little as possible. There's the knife I knew I had out. Okay, so let me just show you that closely. Okay, see how I've got a row of the colours there, and they're not mixed up at all. That's exactly what I want. And now I'm going to, I might just mask here, because I really don't want to get that. So I've got some petals that are very, very close to the leaves I do actually want. So I'm just making sure I protect. And that butterfly is pretty close as well. Not butterfly, dragonfly. So it can get covered up as well. Okay, so that's the bit I want, and I definitely want that as well. Yeah, this fabric was from one of the first collections, if not the first, that I made with Kennard and Kennard. And I can't remember at all what it's called. All right. So picking up my range of greens, coming in here and letting it be stripy. So I'm following the direction of the leaves. And I've got a great big chunk there I want to take off, and I think I've got it all. Darn it, really didn't want to expose that patch of white there, so I'll go over the top. Okay, and that gives me those leaves and those stems coming down there, which is perfect. That's what I wanted. All right, so I'm really happy with that popping over there, and I think that's all the elements in place. I mean, I thought that last week, to be fair. I thought I had all the elements in place. I did not. We have this pink here, which from memory was permanent brown madder and magenta mixed together. I don't think I have to make it that way. I could probably just make it with alizarin crimson, or sometimes it's called permanent alizarin, but I'm going to try and make it this way. So again, always your transparent colour up on the side of the dish and your glaze in the bottom of the dish, so that you're the boss of how much colour you're dragging down. And there's my pebble. I was about to panic. thinking, oh no, what have I done with it? And I need a brush. I want to be in control of where this paint goes. I don't want a fan brush, so I'm just using one of my, I love these brushes. This is a Robert A. Wade series by Neef. The brand is Neef, N-E-E-F, and this is a Taklon long flat, a 1/2 inch Taklon long flat. I like, so it's long because it has long bristles, that's why it's called that. It's called flat because it has this flattened ferrule and also a flat haircut on the top. Love these guys. So little bit of magenta, little bit of permanent brown matter. That's the color. Now I can't tell if I have enough paint in this until I actually put some on my canvas. I can get an idea by looking in my dish, but I really won't know till I get here and do it. I think it's correct. So I'm going to slap it on around the stems of these guys here, and I'm pushing right down into the paint. That's a petal, I don't want to go over that. So just into the stems. Okay, that's pretty nice, I think. Now, a little bit of water, because I want it to be slippery. I want to be able to spread that. Even a bit more. Nice. And I think I want some down here as well. Now I wouldn't spray it first because that would make it really hard to make the paint stick to it. Got to remember that that's wet, and right now it's got paint running down into it. Awesome. Not awesome. So I'll just make sure I give it enough water to keep going all the way off the painting instead of stopping there. So, and mop that up a bit. Okay, so pretty. All right, where else do I want this? I think I might want it perhaps a browner version, so a bit more of the permanent brown matter into the mix. Not that it's particularly brown, it's quite pink. And I'm going to drop that in there, and in there, and in there. So all those centers, this one too. No particular need for it to be bright purple. And I'm just going to flick it out. Oh, I do like that. So I'm just kind of looking for areas that are ugly at the moment. So areas that haven't really been developed very nicely with paint. Here, let's pull a bit of that out here as well. So I'm just adding a little bit of, like, pushing that flower into the center. Really important, if you're going to do this, that your texture paste is properly dry. If it's still even slightly soft and you drag a pebble over it, you're going to break it. Don't do that to yourself. Stick it out in the sun if you need to. Get it really, really hard. Okay, so now I like that. That's all very pretty. I think I want to transition that edge. So I've got, when I say that, I mean I've got some grey here, and then the grey stops and there is no grey, there's pink. So if I come in and just pink up that edge a little bit and then drag it back into the grey, I can transition that very nicely. And then a bit of a wet rag to just soften it again. All right. What do we think? Are we done? Are we done? I don't know. I think just going to strengthen the depth of colour on those stems again, just to push them in. That stencil, if you recall, went a bit whoopty when I did it. It spread out a bit, so it's not bad to just contain it a bit more. Maybe push that back. So I'm sure everyone can see how the process of making a painting is 1,000 small decisions, more than 1,000 probably, and it's a process of putting stuff down and then seeing how you react to it, and then you might make some changes. I think that's pretty nice. So that new bit of texture paste will need a little bit of glaze. I'll probably go with olive green or phthalo green for that when that's dry. I think perhaps this is a bit bald here, so I'm just going to put a little bit of the pink on there, just so that it's not completely separate from everything else. Being careful of my wet texture paste. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right, boys and girls. The sunflower painting is done, I believe. It needs a signature, which I'd put over in this corner because this is too lumpy and that would get in my way. And I might just top up some of those flowers and make them yellow. No, probably just white. I'd probably just emphasize the whiteness of them. But I do believe that one's done. So Beverly asked, is there anywhere she can see the beginning of this process, because Facebook has already deleted it. I have saved all of those videos and I can put them on the Patreon page. So yes, you will be able to do that. I'm hoping before I do that, I might just do that one because you're asking for it, Beverly. I might just put that up in its entirety. But then what I want to do is edit the whole series so it comes together. And so it's missing out on all the bits where I'm saying, you know, good morning, Sue, and good morning, everybody, because that doesn't need to be part of it, I don't think. And just make it a more succinct step-by-step demonstration. Sunflowers using Temu stencils. So yeah, I think I'll do that, and I may even put it up on YouTube because that's how a lot of you find me in the first place. So you've all been part of it and seen the full versions, and I will put Actually, that reinforces it. I'll put all of that up on the Patreon page, but I'll put an edited version up on YouTube, on the Arts Tree Online channel. Okay, so how are we feeling about this, people? Do we love it? Do we not love it? I'm okay with, if you don't love it, I'm okay with that. Jenny loves it. You're welcome, Beverly. All right, Margaret's here. Good morning. And Anne's here. Good morning, Sandra. Excellent. I think it's come together very nicely. So things that bother me still. Those white flowers are showing out very nicely. These ones not so much. So I might emphasize those a little bit and just add some. In fact, why don't I do it now? Why am I talking about it and not doing it? It will take 2 minutes. So now this time I have a smaller one of those Robert A. Wade brushes. This is a 1/8 inch version. And this time I'm going to use some Atelier Free Flow. I like it for this kind of work because it has so much pigment in it. I only have to do it once, which, you know, is always good. Let's come in there a little bit closer. Let's see if I can manage to not fall over. Look at this. Broke my own cardinal rule. Put a brush down with paint on it. Instead of in the water, I just put it down. And it's a good brush too. Don't do that. So let's just pop out some of these little guys. Now if you want a nice shape, start when your brush has the most paint on it. That's where you start your stroke, the heaviest part of the image that you're after. And that will make the shape that I want for these little guys. And it's okay that the glaze is still a bit wet, although I am picking up a bit of pink on my brush. Probably less than ideal. Okay. I think here too, let's just pop those ones out. So this is edge control. This is making sure that all my colors repeat across the canvas. It's making sure that the important things are getting the attention. Anything else? Just a little here. Stepping back is a super important part of this process. So stepping back to assess what you need to do and where you need to do it and how intense it needs to be and what color it's going to be. There's a whole lot of questions. And I think I like all those pops. That still just needs some glazing, but it will have to wait till it's dry. Maybe just a couple of little, do you notice I use my little finger quite a lot to stabilize my hand? There's a device sign writers use called a marl stick, which is a length of doweling with padded on one end, and you put it down and use it to support your hand, but I just use my little finger. And I want more of these little flowers than were in the stencil. So I'm just going to add them freehand. The beauty of if I put this on YouTube too is that folks with hearing impairment will be able to turn on the auto transcription, and so they'll know what I'm saying too, and I think that's really important. I've been trying to work out how to do it for Facebook, and basically I can't without downloading it, editing, adding that transcription. It's a lot of work and I don't have time for it at the moment, but I figured out I can get past it by doing it on YouTube. I think the time is right to officially stop fiddling, she says as she keeps fiddling. Do as I say, not do as I do. All right, okay, it's official. There's just that little bit of glazing to go. Let's come back here. All right, what's Beverly telling me? I heard a good hint to keep brushes soft and lovely. Clean as you usually do, then finish off with a dose of hand soap. Oh, okay. That would mean you needed to you'd need to rinse that off, wouldn't you, before you use them again. Oh, let's come down here. Okay. So it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be phthalo green there, because there's already phthalo green there. I think it's going to be permanent green light in the glaze on there. So that's it. We have made a painting with the sunflower stencils from Temu. I hope that, although it does depend upon having good stencils, there was lots of those stencils, including some that I bought, that I just saw them in the flesh and rejected them out of hand. They were a bit shit. So good stencils is important, but also you can, the process is the same. It doesn't matter which stencils you're using, the process is the same. You have to think all the way through about line, tone, colour and edge. How much paint, eh? You have to keep interrogating what you've got on your canvas through that prism, and that's the process. That's what I teach. Now, if you've been thinking of joining me at Mastria's, there has been 2 people have left for various reasons, and that means my group is not sustainable. And so after the session in 2 weeks' time, that group will cease to exist, and that makes me very sad, because I think we were making really good progress. Maybe I was pushing too hard, I don't know. I'd be interested in any feedback on that. But if you've been thinking, oh, I'll do that in 2 months' time, or I'll do that when the weather cools down, or I'll do that whenever, whatever thing happens in your life that you've been waiting, if you've been thinking of doing it, please do it now so that our group can keep going, because otherwise it's not going to be there. It doesn't mean never again. I will probably offer another group later on in the year. Maybe, hopefully I'll get a chance to do a bit of fine-tuning for what people want, if the reason people left is because it wasn't meeting their needs. I really would like to know that. I know Sue was doing some travelling, but I don't know why the other person left. There's been no communication. So yeah, I want to offer you the best of what's in here and the best of what I have learned and developed over the last 60 odd years. So yeah, if you've been thinking of doing it, now is the time. All right. Okay, everybody. Sunflowers. Da-da! So nice to have finished a painting with you. All right, don't be shy about posting yours. I think you can post directly on the page. It might come to me and I have to mediate if it goes up or not. I'm not quite sure. But don't be shy of sharing, and especially don't be shy to share things that went wrong, because in that way we support each other massively. All right, everybody, thanks for your patience. This took, what, 5 or 6 sessions? I hope that's informative too for how much time it takes even me to do a painting like this, and I presumably know what I'm doing. All right, everybody, have a great week, and I will see you either on Mastrius or I will see you here next week. Bye.